Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advance. This is Game 4 of the World Chess Championship 2023. After Game 3 ended in an abrupt draw where Ding had some chances but he was not able to convert them into a win. Now he has the white pieces, let's see if he's able to surprise Nepo this time. So without further ado, let's start with this game. Ding starts with not d4, not e4, but instead this time he goes for c4. English opening, we see knight to f6, knight to c3 and e5. And knight to f3, knight to c6, 4 knights of the English, and just e3. Nepo goes for bishop to b4, but just queen to c2, not allowing black to ruin your pawn structure, but not really, because Nepo just goes for bishop captures, and instead of recapturing with the queen, here then goes for b captures. So definitely, he has some store for Nepo in this game. Nepo just goes for d6, going for a solid structure in this position, and Ding just goes for e4, just simply castles in this position, and Ding goes for bishop to e2. Nepo goes for knight to h5, but just a very nice central thrust with d4. Knight to f4, but you cannot allow that knight to remain on the f4 square as it's a very powerful piece. So just eliminating it with bishop captures. E captures, and surprisingly as it is Ding's second, Richard Rapport, actually had this position 10 years ago with an opponent, Zaragatsky. In this position, Zaragatsky actually went for h4, but Ding just goes for castles in this position, which is definitely the best move recommended by the engine, and it's just move 11 and it's a completely new game. So let's see how Nepo is able to handle this. Nepo just goes for queen to f6, which is also the best move, but Ding just goes for rook to f1. And the best move for Nepo in this position is just to go for this very fierce g5 right from the opening. And after a move like h3 not allowing g4, you just go for king to h8, going for that rook to g8 maneuver. And after knight to h2, you just go for queen to g6. And after bishop to f3, just putting some extra protection on that e4 pawn. And now you play b6. Looks scary because you'll get stroke under the mask of the bishop, but if ever e5 comes, you always have that bishop to b7. And here both players have equal chances, it could be anyone's game. But instead Nepo goes for this rook to e8, and Ding just simply replies with bishop to d3. And Nepo just develops his final bishop as he goes for bishop to g4, and Ding just goes for knight to d2, not allowing Nepo to mess up his pawn structure. Here again, Nepo had the choice of going for the best move, and I'll show you one line because it's very cool. Because now Nepo had played this rook 8 to d8, which is the best move recommended by the engine. You go for this h3, pushing the bishop back, and once the bishop goes back, you go for this rook a b1. And after b6, not allowing the b7 pawn to be a target all of the game, you just go for c5, and you just play this b capture, and once instead of recapturing, you go for this e5, which is a very fierce move, also makes room for your knight on e4. And after d captures, you go for this immediate knight to e4, and once the queen moves, you go for this knight caps on c5. And now your bishop is under attack, and instead of moving it somewhere passive, you can go for this very fierce bishop caps on h3, and after g captures, just queen captures, and after bishop to f5 attacking the queen, you go for this queen to h5. And after queen to e4, you play g6, attacking the bishop, but also your knight on c6 is hanging, so after queen caps on c6, you go for this queen caps on f5. And after f3, you play queen to g5 check, and after king to f1, you go for this queen to g3. And after rook to b2, you go for queen to h3 check and rook to g2. Black is down a piece, but with white king being wide open like this, it could be anyone's game. But instead of all this madness, Nepo just calmly went for this knight to e5, and Ding just simply replies with c5. And Nepo just trades with d captures, but instead of recapturing, Ding goes for the very nice central thrust with e5. And now once the queen moves with queen to h6, Ding grabs the full center with d5. Nepo now goes for rook a d8, but just c4, cementing those pawns. And Nepo goes for b6 in this position, making some room for the knight to retreat. And Ding just goes for h3, pushing the bishop back, and bishop to h5, but just bishop to e4. Nepo just goes for rook to e7, doubling up rooks on the e file, but just queen to c3. And after rook to e8, finally doubling up rooks on the e file, but just bishop to f. And here Nepo tries to get the knight into the game with knight to b7, but just. And here again, the best move for Nepo in this position was just to go for this bishop captures. And after knight captures, you go for this f6. Looks scary, but definitely after e6, you can play this knight to d6, and those pawns can never be pushed. And after white doubles up rook on the e file with something like rook e1, you go for this very nice g5. And after knight to d2, you go for this rook to f8. And now that knight is definitely coming on to e4, so you may as well just get your own knight to d4. So after knight to e4, you go for this knight to f5. And after rook to d2, not allowing that knight to e4 to come with the tempo, you just go for this queen to g6. And after rook to d3, you just play h5. Black has the initiative going, and anything can happen in this position. But instead of all that, Nepo instead goes for f6 right away, and Ding just takes advantage of this, and Ding just goes for e6. And Nepo goes for knight to d6, but just rook to e1. And after knight to f5, the best move for Ding in this position was just to go for this bishop to g4, but you don't spot that with so much time pressure and all the other things. But at the end of the day, it is a battle of nerves. But instead Ding just goes for bishop caps on h5, and after queen captures, just rook to e4. Nepo just goes for queen to h6, preparing that g5 so that the f6 pawn is not under attack. So Ding just waits and see what will happen, and Ding goes for queen to f3, attacking the f4 pawn. And here was the chance for Nepo to just go as planned and go for this very nice g5 as he's been planning all along. And after a4, you go for this knight to d6. and once the rook moves, you go for this f5, and definitely black will have a very nice game after this. But instead of all of this, Nepo actually goes for knight to d4, and it's not a good move. So pause the video and try to find the best move for Ding in this position while I give you a couple of seconds. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move, and the move is same as that was in game 2, which won the game for Nepo, which is this sacrificing the exchange on d4 with rook captures on d4. And after c captures, now you see the problem, because now comes knight to b3, and it's impossible to prevent that knight from jumping to so many places. Nepo now went for g5, but it's a little bit too late, because Ding just goes for knight captures on d4, and now there are so many places this knight can jump to. It's an absolute monster. Nepo goes for queen to g6, not allowing that fork, but just g4. And after f captures, you go for this f captures and just h5. It's a little bit too late for that attack, but Nepo has to try something. Ding goes for the best move, which is knight to f5, and Nepo goes for rook to h7, but just queen to e4. And after king to h8, just e7. Nepo goes for queen to f7, but now there's no hope for Nepo's position, because Ding just goes for this d6, and now you know what follows. C captures, knight captures, and now you lose the rook as well. Queen to g8, but just knight captures on e8. And after queen captures, just queen to e6. Nepo tries king to g7, but just rook to f1. And after rook to h6, defending that f6 pawn, but just rook to d1. And after f5, just queen to e5 check, king to f7, and queen captures on f5. Nepo defends with the rook, but just queen to h7 check. And after king to e6, there are a lot of moves you can win in this position, but Ding just chooses the silent one, which is queen to g7. And after rook to g6, just queen to f8. And it was on this move, on move 47, that he and Nepomniachtchi resigned the game, and definitely got a brilliant game before Ding and got an insane comeback. So thank you all for watching. I'll be coming up with another amazing game from the chess world, and especially from the World Chess Championship, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Thank you all.